Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. So this is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. And y'all, let's talk Bel-Air, okay? Get on in here. It's time that we talk about Bel-Air, all right? This is a review for Bel-Air season 1, episode 6, Strength to Smile, okay? Baby, we had some things going on in this episode, and Aunt Viv had time today. You hear me? So let's talk about it. Aunt Viv, is having, of course, this silent auction that they agreed to have for Lisa's mom, right? And of course, they said that this was going to be a Mardi Gras style. Her and Carlton had already went over that, and so. We see that she's upset because apparently the caterer is triple booked by accident. We know how that goes when you got something planned and, some things just don't go as planned, right? We'll have different stuff that happen that fall apart. And we got to just kind of wing it and still get it together. So she's like, trying to figure out how they're going to do this. She's asking Phil, do he think Hillary would be willing to come and help? And he's like, I don't see why not. At the same time, we find out, which I had a feeling he was going to do this, okay, Trey, with your raggedy behind, Ashley lets them know, do y'all know that Will is trending or whatever? This is going to really have him upset. And of course, we see that Will is upset. And we see that Trey went back home and they talking a bunch of smack about him online. And I'm like, really, Trey? Really? Like the argument and you leaving was bad enough, but to go back home and do this, I'm sorry. I understand that they're supposed to be teenagers, but I just don't see it, okay? There's never been a time where I've ever wanted, to wish anything bad on my friends or been jealous of them, okay? I always want everybody to win. My whole thing with this trade situation, you talking about he a snake, he a trader, he this, he that, because he want to live a freaking better life or he decided to stay in LA. If he would have got a scholarship and went away for his basketball, he would have still been going away. He still probably wouldn't have been where you was at. You know what I'm saying? He would have been playing ball in the way at college. So what's the difference in that and him choosing this? You supposed to want better for your peoples. I'm sorry. That was so whack. That was so trash to me. And that's all I really got to say on that. And so, of course, Aunt Viv tries to go check on Will. She asking him, is he okay? He don't want to talk. He's upset. He's basically like, I just want to be left alone. She was saying, well, we could probably use some help, at the event today or whatever. And he's like, I'm going to go, and play ball with Jazz for a minute. So when he's going to leave, Uncle Phil is trying to stop him as well and talk to him for a minute. He's like, listen, I just want to be left alone. He's steadily going down the stairs. He got an attitude. Phil's like, yo, Will. And he's like, what? And he ends up throwing the ball and breaking something. And Aunt Viv is like, come on, not today, all right? We ain't got time for this. So at this point, of course, after he breaks something, he does realize that he went too far, okay? And Phil is like, come on, you know what I'm saying? You got to get in my daggone office now. And so he basically goes in the office with Uncle Phil. And Uncle Phil is letting him know, like, you're not the only one that goes through something. I know this is hard, all right? And you feeling the ways right now because he was like, people, things happen. People go through things. You have arguments. And Will is like, no, this is beyond that. You know what I'm saying? This ain't my boy no more. Basically, F him. And so, Phil was letting him know, like, listen, that's how it is. I've experienced it too. Sometimes everybody can't come with you, okay? You're going to have people that be in your life, as my grandmother would say, for a reason, a lesson, a lesson, a blessing, a season, a reason, right? And so sometimes that's all it is, and it don't go no further than that. And he was just like, you in a mansion, well, you talking about space, you can have all the space you want to, but what you can't do is have, everybody walking on eggshells because you're right now in a bad, way. And he was like, you're just having a little situation right now. But Will sees it as much more than that. And like I said, Phil lets him know not everybody could be brought along. He lost friends too on his way up. These are things that you learn in life. And he basically tells Will to come here and gives him a big old hug. And, he was like, you're not the only one to go through this and you're not by yourself, basically. And so, I think Will felt a little bit better with him in that. And then he was like, well, do you know how it feels as far as, having your being trending on daggone, social media. And Will was like, oh, haven't you checked lately? And don't you see what they say about me on Fox News? And so that made Will laugh a little bit. And so he's like, they clowning me or whatever. And he's like, I know, but it ain't gonna kill you. And he was like, please go look at me and see what they saying about me online if you want to feel a little bit better about yourself right now. And he was like, welcome to the party, nephew. So I appreciate the fact that he took time out to go ahead and talk to Will. And he was like, your aunt really does need help with this event. One thing about us is that we come together as a family and we support each other and help each other. We got you and we need you to have us, okay? Always remember that. And so he says, okay, yeah, he would. In the meantime, Hillary is trying to set up, at this new house that she's at. And she's trying to just, set up her cameras and everything to do her video, and I guess trying to figure out what it's going to be about. And in the midst of her setting everything up and getting the cameras ready and the lighting ready and double checking her hair and all that good stuff, she got the display out with the different foods and, all this stuff getting ready. And here come these daggone prank brothers running in, knocking stuff over, being loud, guy taping stuff. And she's like, look, I need y'all to get the hell up out of here. Like, what are y'all doing? She was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Y'all seriously need to chill out. And he was like, oh, I hope you was rolling because that was some good content. And they telling her they could help her. And they was like, we could help you create a title and everything. And she was like, that's okay. I do cuisine. So she was like, I don't do craziness or whatever. So he was like, we just two black men in America giving people what they want. And so she's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And, she was like, I could have been halfway done if it wasn't for y'all goofy behinds. So he was like, well, I recommend you move a little faster because when it comes to Carlo, he's going to be checking in and he don't play, okay? And they was like, you only get a certain time to get all your stuff in. And she was like, okay, so can y'all go ahead and get up out of here so I could do what I need to do? She's just really having a hard time right now. And just as she's trying to start up again, of course, her mom calls. And so then she's answering her mom like, okay, how's the event going? How's everything? And Viv is basically like, yeah, about that. Okay, so she had to go ahead and call, Hillary for help. We seen that, Jeffrey was supposed to be helping as well to make sure that everything is together as far as, the catering and doing everything that, helping Viv to set up for this event she's trying to have. But then Hillary gets there. She's like, I loved Aunt Gail. I'm going to come through. I'm going to help too. I was thinking about gumbo and wild rice. She got all this different stuff. She's talking about mini cornbread, honey butter. So, Viv was like, that sounds amazing, but that's a lot to prepare. We only got a couple hours. And Hillary is like, Mom, you do what you do. Let me do what I do. I got this. So when she's saying that, Jeffrey's like, oh, okay, well, that's taken care of. I ain't got to worry about that. And so, they go and they basically getting the stuff together, the Mardi Gras beads, the lupus pamphlets, and all that different kind of stuff. And she was like, oh, well, Jeffrey, you and Will, could go outside to do something. But as soon as before she could even finish, Phil was like, actually, I need to send, Jeffrey to deal with a campaign matter for me. And he starts whispering in his ear, and then Jeffrey goes off. So she was like, oh, man, okay, you taking him away. He was like, yeah, but he's not going to be going long. So she's like, okay, well, then I got to just go ahead and dig my hands in. And she starts helping. And so Phil is like, by the way, before anybody gets here, all right, this event is strictly about Gail, in the silent auction. He was like, any other issues need to be left to the side. And he's looking at Aunt Viv. And Aunt Viv was like, well, why the hell you staring at me when you say that? And they was like, oh, because we already know how you feel about Angela. Of course, Will is like, who the heck is Angela? And they let him know that Fred married Angela like less than a year from, Lisa's mom passing away. And of course that left a bad taste in Aunt Viv's mouth. She ain't really feeling that. And so Viv was like, well, why are we over here saying, who could do what and who should leave what off the table? I hope that you and Fred are not going to be going into none of y'all politics tonight either, and whatever issues y'all have on that, because that's not what tonight is about either. So they pretty much was trying to make sure that everybody was on the same page and nobody was going to be starting no arguments, right? We're gonna be on our best behaviors and not squabble over politics. So he was like, all right, got you. Today is about bigger things than politics. And so after this, we get Lisa coming in. She's looking for Carlton so they could go ahead and do this rehearsal. She apparently wrote this poem and wants to go ahead and recite it. There's parts she's supposed to say, and there's parts that Carlton is supposed to say. So he's like, yeah, absolutely. Come on, this is for you. And when she's saying hi to Will, she notices again that Will is not really saying anything back. He seems to have this attitude with her, and she doesn't know why. Of course, we know that Carlton told him to stay away from him. Well, stay away from her, rather. And then, Viv says how this event is always really hard on Lisa, and you can tell that, Will is thinking about that. And then we have Kylo calling Hillary, and, she answers, and he's like, what you doing, girl? Okay, you supposed to be recording. I don't know where you at right now, but I know you ain't doing what you need to be doing. You're approaching that 24-hour mark. And so Hillary is like, what are you talking about? And he was like, yeah, we give a 24-hour, exodus. And if not, you lose like 3% of your, followers. And she's saying, well, I was going to post today, I have to, maybe since I'm at this event, I'll use the catering thing for my mom. And he was like, well, that doesn't really, work. Cajun feast ain't gonna do it. He was like, cooking tutorials are repetitive and the algorithm doesn't like repetitive. So unless you, sweetie, she's brilliant, then you can't really do the same thing over and over. She's like, okay, fine, I'll figure out something to create some buzz. And he was like, great, you better go viral and tell your family what's up for me. So of course Hillary is feeling extra stressed about that because she's trying to help her mom, and at the same time she needs to go ahead and get this video done. We have Carlton reciting the poem with Lisa, and she's going through the motions. Okay, we find out that she's really, first of all, upset, of course, that her mom is gone. She's like, I'm saying this poem, but I really don't feel these words. She's mad that her father already remarried. We find out that they having a daggone baby. She's like, he's going to be moving out. They talking about getting another house once the baby is born. And she just basically feels like they are trying to erase her mother, okay? And Carlton, in this particular moment, actually came through as a real friend. He was like, look, your dad was really hurt off of losing your mom too. He loved her and he loves you. She was like, yeah, he was upset at first when it first happened, but in her eyes, like I said, he just basically seems like he's just moving on. And so, Carlton was definitely trying to reassure her and say positive words in this moment and make her feel good. And Will comes out and sees them talking, and I guess he's assuming that they back together, but it wasn't even nothing like that. In this moment, Carlton really was just trying to give her some comfort, and it was actually genuine for once. And so you had Ashley and Hillary in the kitchen. Like, everybody is trying to pitch in to help for this. Ashley's mixing something up. And, she was like, is mom going to be okay? Because we hear her Aunt Viv screaming in the background. She was like, oh, yeah, she'll be fine. She was like, she just wants to be everything to be perfect because, Gail was like a sister to her. And when she lost her, that felt like she was losing another sister. And she was like, what do you mean by another sister? She was like, well, her and Gail had really got close, and you probably not old enough to remember, but I'm going to spill the tea. Gail became a sister to mom when Aunt Mom and Aunt Vi stopped talking. And so she's like, well, why did they stop talking? She was like, I don't know, but I know it has something to do with Will and Phil cuts them off. So, baby, I need that tea. What was really going on? Because we keep getting these subtle hints where that comes in, right? And Phil cuts into them, and he making small talk, and he's also telling them it smell good in there, and they doing a good job. And so she was like, Dad, what's really going on? Because Phil is looking like he's stressed out too. And he comes over and whispers and was like, truthfully, the Tiners pulled the endorsement. And she's like, what? Why would they do that? He was like, she said, I thought it was a done deal. He was like, me too, but Jeffrey's looking into it. But I need y'all, to keep this on a hush. Don't tell your mother. She's already dealing with a lot. And we're going to go ahead and take care of it. So they was like, okay, Lisa comes up to Will to find out what's going on with him. Okay, she tired of him 1 minute talking to her, the next minute not. and, going through whatever he going through. And he's telling her, I was just trying to give you space. I was just trying to kind of step to the side. Plus, it looked like you and Carlton was back together anyway. And she was like, no, he was comforting me because I'm sad about my mom. She was like, really? Y'all two still got to be making it about each other no matter what? She basically gets pissed off and, pretty much goes on about her way. She was over it. And he was trying to call after her. Then we had, the silent auction starts. Everything looks like it's coming in, together good. Hillary got all the food out there. They got all the decorations. They got everything set up. Will is playing the piano. And so, excuse me, Viv friends show up. And one friend was looking for Jeffrey, okay? And she was like, girl, you ain't got to be looking for him because he ain't here right now. And she was like, oh, well, good. Then I brung, read along. That could be another eye candy. And one of the other friends was like, can I bid on him? Because they saying what thing they going to bid for and not bid for. And they was telling her one of her things had already went for, I think, like over 30,000. So they was like, oh, this is successful. And she was like, oh, wow, really? So, they laughing about that. Ashley actually comes in with her friends, introducing them to Hillary. She got the little girl that she got a crush on, and then another little boy. And Hillary's like, oh, nice to meet y'all, and telling them that the food is going to taste just as good as it looks, and they're like, they can't wait. And then she tells her, to ask them rather, do they want to go ahead out by the pool? And they like, yeah, but we noticed that the girl that Ashley has the crush on is busy looking at Will, talking about, oh, your cousin playing the piano. So I was already picking up on something there, okay? So then we had Kylo calling Hillary again. At this point, she's just ignoring the daggone call because she already know what he calling about. And she trying to get this stuff done, for her mother. One of Viv's friends asked, Carlton and Lisa when they walk over because things was getting a little uncomfortable. We had a moment where, Fred and Angela had showed up and they pretty much was trying to say hi and bye and get out the way and not have it be awkward. And so one of the friends was asking, Carlton and Lisa about where they wanted to go to school. And Carlton was saying Princeton and Lisa was saying Howard. And they was like, all right, HBCU, and they was like, listen, if you need, any type of referrals, that was my alma mater. I'm down for you, let me know and things like that. And then they get on this conversation about how when Angela has the baby, Fred is like all for her going right back to work. And Viv is like, really? And so, her friend makes the comment, yeah, because the next thing you take off a year or 2 years and it turns into 15 years. And Viv is pretty much like, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and walk outside. And so we have Angela literally come behind Aunt Viv outside. And she's asking her on advice on how she could get closer to Lisa. And Aunt Viv is just like, girl, give her time, give her space, it takes time and all of that. And so Will comes over to try to cut the ice because he see what's going on with Aunt Viv already and that she's annoyed. And, he starts conversating with Angela. Child, Angela end up spilling the damn tea that she met Fred back in 2018, but Gail ain't out of 2019. She talking about how they met when he was doing this golf tournament and how he says she was his good luck charm. And Viv was like, wait a minute, Gail ain't out of 2019. Then she gonna talk about she want to go to the bathroom. So Fred, your trifling behind was cheating on Lisa's mother before she died. Let me find out, because Angela tried to clean it up and be like, oh no, even though we had met then, we didn't start messing around to after. I'm like, yeah, okay, girl. So on Viv friends come and they talking to Hillary for a minute, asking her how everything is going. They like, girl, if you don't end up back in the pool house, one of us to take it and all of this, because how's it going in this big house that you in now, right? Everything is going good. And she's like, yeah, I got it. And she gonna say she would rather stay in the street than come back to the house. No offense. I'm like, okay, Hillary girl, okay, watch what you wish for. And so this time you have Kylo sending her a text saying that she's moving towards the hours of disaster, okay, if she don't go ahead and get this video out. On Viv finds Reed in her paint room because she had asked to excuse herself, and she's walking back there and she like, excuse me, what are you doing back here? The party's out front. How the hell did you make your way back here? First he gonna talk about he got lost. I'm like, yeah, okay, Reed, lost, okay. And she basically was like, well, you could go ahead. This is not ready. Nobody is supposed to be seeing it. And he was like, no, this is perfect. I love it. He was like, if you put this out on the in your silent auction and it don't make at least 15 grand, like if it does make 15 grand, I should say, then he wants to go ahead and enter it in the gala. And she said if she says if it doesn't, and he was like, I'll leave you alone. And so she's just kind of like, yo, why you keep trying to gas me? And he's like, I'm really not. I just think that you're that good. And, I want you to believe that you're that good too. In the meantime, Uncle Phil is walking past and he catch it and he like, oh no, okay, that radar go off. He seen them like eyes trying to get all up on freaking on Viv. And he was like, oh no, boo, this is my wife. So he come in and introduce himself. On Viv stumbling for a minute. Oh, this is Reed, and introduces him or whatever. And so he was like, I was trying to tell your wife, that she needs to put this all out. It's beautiful, and I'm sure it was selling this and that. And Uncle Phil is like, yo, I didn't know you was back to painting. And she was like, oh, it's just something that I just picked up. It kind of hit me. So, Phil agrees that it is good. And so at first, Reed was trying to pick up the painting to bring it out with him. And Phil was like, nah, we got people to do that. And Reed talking about, no, I could do it. And then Phil was like, no, you're a guest. Put it down and go do guest stuff, okay, and get up out of here is basically what he was saying. And he's going to have somebody else bring the painting. And so, Lisa's basically upset and emotional. Will comes over to her and talking to her. And she basically says how she hates Angela. Today is supposed to be a day about her mom, and she's making it about her instead. And Will kind of just lets her know he can understand to a certain degree. It's not exactly the same, but he hasn't had his father in his life since he was 4 years old. And, he was like, we feel all different kind of emotions, and sometimes we don't know what to do with them and all of that kind of stuff. And so Lisa was saying, that she thinks Carlton really uses her vulnerability to get close to her, and tiptoeing around his emotions is exhausting. And I understood exactly where Lisa was coming from. I think she expressed herself great. I think Carlton does use her vulnerability against her, whatever. But of course, Carlton is hearing and seeing this, and of course, he's going to take that in a whole nother way, right? And so, we have Ashley hanging with her friends, playing this game. She basically done beat them in it. She asked the other little friend to go down and get her soda because she had asked Hillary her advice on, what should she do? And she was like, tell her how you feel. So before Ashley could even tell her, she's asking Ashley what she thinks about the little boy. And she's just kind of like, he's a dork. And she's like, well, dorks is cool too. She was like, you're kind of dorky. And so she was like, well, I got a crush too, and I started crushing on them, at the skating rink. So Ashley probably was thinking that she was about to say her. And before she could even finish, she's like, your cousin Will. So we found out that Ashley's crush has a crush on Will. And of course, that breaks little Ashley's heart. And I was like, aw. So, we basically see that the painting is out. We see that, Reed was over there buying, and Phil basically comes over. And of course, he gonna bid on his wife's painting, y'all. Okay, what you thought? And so he go ahead and put a bid in. We have Jeffrey come back to the party, and he's giving Phil an update. And all we hear Phil say is, are you sure? And he was like, yeah. He was like, okay, well, then we just got to keep on moving. It is what it is. And so Viv is asking, what's going on. And he's like, nothing for you to worry about. We got it all taken care of. And Will says Jeffrey got his 007 going on. Do he? Okay, that was an understatement. And so after this, we have Lisa looking for Carlton. And we have, Hillary basically checking on Ashley, saying she trying to get ready to get out of there. She want to slip out so mom don't see her. But she's like, what's going on with you? Why you sitting here like this? And she was like, oh, your first heartbreak. Like, what's happening? And she gives her the breakdown. She's like, girl, do you want me to go beat her up? I will. Okay, just let me know. Give me the word. And so she tells her, I wish I could tell you that heartbreaks is easy, but it's not. And you're going to probably have many more to come. And again, she just lets her know that she's thankful that she felt comfortable to confide in her. about how she was feeling and what she was going through. And she was like, do you think it's anybody else you might want to share this with? And Ashley says, she's not too sure yet. And then Ashley was telling her, like, no, go ahead and do what you got to do, because mom and dad is thinking you're going to come back in the house. But I told them you're not. And she was like, oh, what makes you say that? And Ashley basically was like, because I know you. You're determined. You work hard. You're going to be successful. You are a queen. And so Hillary was like, oh, thanks, sis. And they hug. And that was a little cute moment. Will goes looking for Carlton and is telling Carlton that Lisa's looking for him. He's banging on the door. You know how, first of all, they ain't got a good relationship anyway, but they did make an agreement they would knock at each other's doors. But because Will knows how important this is to Lisa, he just barges in after not getting an answer for a minute. And he sees that Carlton is in there sniffing on back, y'all. Just sniffing on back. And so Will is like, what the hell are you doing? Lisa needs you. And Carlton is like, no, she don't need me. She got you. And so Will is like, what are you talking about? I was just trying to be there for her as a friend. At the end of the day, if you're really a friend, you should want that, knowing what today means to her. And he was like, instead you in here getting damn high out your mind, or whatever the case may be. And so Carlton starts crying. He falls on the floor. He's just saying he can't, and Will actually comforts him and hugs him. I thought that was a really sweet moment. He was telling him, I can't go out there like this. What's wrong with me? And Will was like, I got you. Okay, so that was sweet. That was sweet. Still don't like Carlton right now, but it was still a sweet moment. And so Aunt Viv gives a speech and she introduces Lisa. Lisa gets up to recite the poem, and Will has stepped in for Carlton and is singing his part. You could tell the father was kind of looking like, what's going on here? That was supposed to be Carlton. And so when they finish, everybody's hugging them, telling them what a good job she's done. Everybody's clapping. Really good moment. The poem that Lisa wrote for her mom was so beautiful. Here come Angela funky behind. Okay. Oh, can I get up and give a speech? Because she was saying to Aunt Viv how Lisa never includes her, how she feels like she wants to give a speech. And Aunt Viv had told her that this was not the time. She already told this chick this. So at this point, Aunt Viv gets upset and was like, yo, I had already told you. No, why are you bringing it up again? Today is about Gail and you making it about you. Angela gonna tell her, well, I know that and I appreciate, your opinion, but Fred told me it was okay. And you could see that this is getting Lisa upset. And basically Viv was like, well, then you know what? Let Fred do it at his damn house. Okay, this is my damn thing at my house. And you can get the hell up out of here, or I could put you out. And that really made Lisa feel good. And so Fred was like, all right, well, we leaving. And then Angela gonna talk about, come on, Lisa. And Lisa was like, nah, I don't want to leave. She was like, can I stay, please? And Aunt Viv was like, of course. And so Fred and Angela was going to leave, and Uncle Phil comes over, and Fred gonna talk about some, oh well, I didn't think that it would be like this, and we gonna go ahead and get ready to get up out of here. And so he thought that he was about to throw something up, and Uncle Phil face like, oh yeah, I'm sure by now you know why you lost your donations for your campaign. And Uncle Phil was like, yeah, I know, because you decided to backstab me and you are running for DA too, but that don't change nothing. Okay, the game is still the same. And then he basically was like, I thought you had something up on me. And Fred was like, oh, you talking about, people stabbing people in the back or whatever the case may be. You invented it. And Fred says he's going to crush him in this race. And Uncle Phil basically was like, okay, we'll see. So, of course, as soon as they walk away, because Jeffrey had came up to him, was like, is everything okay here? And Fred had started laughing and was like, yeah, okay. He was like, you, your money, or your goons is not gonna stop me, basically calling Jeffrey a goon. And he was like, then saying he was gonna crush him in the race. So when he walks away, Uncle Phil says to Jeffrey, watch Fred. And he was like, oh, I'm on it. And Phil says, and there's somebody named Reed. I need you to look into him. Jeffrey said, oh, I'm on that too. I love Jeffrey, yo. I love it. Jeffrey ain't playing, baby. And so we then get Reed talking to, Aunt Viv about her piece. He's telling her it sold for $20. I mean, $20. Give me mine. $20,000. and she wanted to know who. I want to know who too, but he didn't tell her. He was like, does that matter? A bet is still a bet. And so she says she's a woman of her word, and she gonna go ahead and put her paintings inside his gallery. All right. And so Phil checks up on Carton, and Carton is thinking that, he probably knows what went down and he's ready to apologize to him. But Uncle Phil tells him he gets it. He knows that he has anxiety. He's been working hard. He was really trying to be stressed, trying to help out Lisa. And, he came overwhelmed with it, and he's glad that, Will was able to step in. He then also tells Carton about the fact that Fred is running for DA, and he's like, oh man, like, that's a backstabbing. And he was like, well, what are you gonna do about that? And Uncle Phil is like, beat his behind, okay? And so they kind of have a little bonding moment. Then Will, talks to Viv, and he was like, yo, that West Philly came popping out tonight. And she was laughing. She was like, yeah, I tried to hold it in, but sometimes it is what it is. And she was also telling him that no matter what, Trey is his friend. He just was hurt. I don't know about all that on Viv. It sound good, but Will was like, I didn't think about that in that way. We have Hillary. She trying to get this video out. She done came to the rescue for her mom. She back at the house. She got on a sexy little number going on, okay, talking about it's about to get hot in the kitchen, and she gonna go ahead and make dessert. We had Lisa laughing by the pool. At first, Will thought she was crying, and she was like, man, I'm so, happy at how Aunt Viv came for Angela. She said everything that my mother would say. She said everything that I was feeling and I ever thought about, and it's good knowing when people have your back, okay? And it is. And so, Lisa also thanks Will for stepping in for Carton, and he's like, yeah, he asked me to, he wanted me to, and she was like, really? And he was like, yeah. And so we basically ended off the episode with Will saying, if you don't want me to do this or do that, I understand and I'll stay back. And she's like, is that what you want? And he's like, hell no. And then they basically kiss. So that was the episode, y'all. This was cute. Like I said, I like this show. I really do. I'm loving the vibe. Y'all go ahead, tell me in the comments if y'all liked it, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you think we got coming up next. Do you think that after this bonding moment with Carton, he gonna put some chill on his behind now? And what you think gonna go down between Fred and Uncle Phil, okay? It's about to get dirty, all right? And what you think Jeffrey gonna find out about Mr. Reed? Because he Reed playing it close, baby. He don't know who he playing with. So anyway, let's discuss. Put it all in the comments. Okay, like, share, comment, subscribe. Till next time.